What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. And kicking off this week, one that I had on my radar, but I was like slightly apprehensive about, and we'll kind of go into that. We're going to go over the latest offering from Unearth, The Wretched, the Ruinous. This comes out on the 5th of May on Century Meter Records. This band formed in 1998 in Boston, Massachusetts. This is their 8th album overall and their first one without co-founding guitarist Ken Susi, who left to join As I Lay Dying at the time where everyone's leaving As I Lay Dying. Well, I don't know. I don't know about the timing there. Just don't join As I Lay Dying. It seems like it's a fucking train wreck right now.
Yeah, it's not where I would go.
Nope. But while Ken Susi left, this is their first one with Mike Justine back on drums since 3 Through the Eyes of Fire, which is a mutual favorite of ours. And for those that don't know, this is some old school fucking metalcore from Boston. I mean, it was kind of one of the hubs for it, and we were giant fans of this band at one point.
Gigantic.
Like, dude.
I'm pretty sure I named that record in the 20 albums that got me into death metal. I listened to that album over and over and over and over again. That and The Oncoming Storm.
The Oncoming Storm whooped ass. I brought it up in a whole Massachusetts metalcore for States of Metal, if you haven't seen that, and I gushed plenty. And I was a huge fan of this band at one point, but there was kind of a drop-off after Through the Eyes of Fire. You know, I'd still liked releases, like The March. I thought that was pretty solid, but...
It was alright.
You know, after that, you know, they were kind of spotty after that. Like, you know, Darkness and the Light, Watchers of Rule, and Extinctions, all were good, but they did not capture the energy of, you know, those 2 releases that I absolutely adored by this band. So needless to say, I was kind of apprehensive about going over this one just because, you know, I have such tremendous respect for this band because in terms of, like, the metalcore pack, this is one of my favorites. But I didn't want to, like, hear them kind of falter. And luckily, that didn't happen.
No, it did not. Not at all. Not in the least.
This sounds like the Unearth that I thought was kind of gone for a while.
Me too.
You know, no disrespect to their previous releases before this, in terms of, like, you know, that era I was talking about. I thought they were good, but it just did not have that, you know, vibe from those 2 seminal albums. This recaptures that and maybe adds even more aggression to it and possibly some even more dazzling guitar work, since now Buzz is the only guitarist in here and kind of has free reign of riffs and melodies.
And
wow.
He does a hell of a job. This record is riffy to the max. The lead work is incredible. I mean, it always kind of was, but, like, it seems like it's solidified in awesome now.
Oh, yeah. Lots of Iron Maiden harmonies. I mean, you hear them right away on the opening title track, which just comes in and just kicks the shit out of you. In fact, it kind of opens like a fucking hardcore show. You got, you know, chuggy riffs, the fucking singers just belting out shit like, all right, get ready, we're gonna fucking wreck this place and probably some bodies tonight. And, you know, you got the cymbals clattering, and then it just launches into these massive chuggy riffs, lots of syncopated chugs, lots of mellow death kind of peppered in there. It's intense, it's fucking urgent, and it sounds like a band half their age now. This has, like, pissed off 20-year-old energy.
Yeah, I mean, immediately. And we're talking in the first, like, 20, 30 seconds, I was immediately brought back to the era of Unearth that I love, namely the Oncoming Storm and In the Eyes of Fire. Like, it just, immediately, I was just like, holy shit, this sounds like the Unearth that I loved.
Yeah. The first 3 tracks alone, Cremation of the Living, you know, title track, and Eradicator. Especially Eradicator with the cool little, like, stereo, like, guitar, and they kind of syncs together with these big syncopated chugs. Man, the riff work on here is not only intense, but melodic. And one of my favorite things about this band is still intact. The fact that Trevor, their frontman, Trevor Phipps, does not bother with clean vocals. But that does not mean there isn't a ton of melody on here. Songs like Call of Existence and Into the Abyss are loaded with soaring melodies. Killer harmonies, again, like lots of Iron Maiden-ish guitar work and just absolutely epic leads. Really good melodic death metal sort of riffs on there, like very similar to At the Gates. I mean, every fucking metalcore band in the middle of the 2000s loved At the Gates and In Flames. Like, that's no fucking secret. But the fact that there are, I would say, no cleans except for maybe one spot on Into the Abyss where it's kind of muffled, like more subdued cleans. Like, they're not big soaring ones. Like, they're not like, you know, the big kill switch engage chorus or anything like that.
Fucking Periphery or Veil of May or any of that crap. Like
nothing like that.
They're, I don't want to say whispered, but it's almost like maybe standing back from the mic.
Yeah.
And singing a little bit, and it's not even really singing because it's still at a low register.
Yeah. It's more of a croon.
Clean vocals.
Yeah. That's about it. Like, but at the same time, you get a lot of cool, like, vocal dynamics from Trevor. Like, there are harsh screams, big hardcore shouts. The song Broken Arrow, which is almost just a flat-out hardcore banger alone, like, there's definitely some metal riffs to it, but it feels more like an old-school hardcore song. He actually kind of takes on, like, almost like an agnostic front, sort of like hardcore shout to it. And that works well with the just big pummeling grooves on there. And even when it comes down to the faster gallops, it's more of a hardcore sound than, like, anything else.
Yeah, in fact, the riff and the melody that's on that song reminded me a lot of stuff that was found in, like, Snot.
A bit punkier. Like, there's more punk to it than, well, I would say metal, but there's definitely still some metal, because if this is metalcore, metal is all over this. And, man, dude, so are breakdowns. Oh my god.
Wow.
The breakdowns in here are absolutely crushing. And put in at, like, the right spots. Like, sometimes they open with them, sometimes they're like the chorus, sometimes they're just a nasty bridge. Hell, the breakdown on Dawn of the Militant.
Dude, that one is awesome.
It's a slam. I would say that's a slam fucking riff.
It's pretty close to it, and it's separated by the emergency broadcast system.
Old Oppenheimer just reminding us, like, I kind of fucked up and invented a thing. It's not gonna end well if it does end with this thing.
And dude, the breakdown in Theaters of War is the nastiest, heaviest, chuggiest thing I think this band has ever done.
And a great hardcore build-up. Like, there's those, you know, like, more subdued vocals at first, like, more spoken word, and then it keeps revving it up, and then by the time that breakdown hits, a chair is flown through the window of the fucking venue, and you're smashing beer cans on your head, unless you're a straight-edge kid, which you're smashing, I don't know.
Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid? I don't know, whatever you guys are drinking.
So, the production. Again, I hate to keep saying it sounds like In the Eyes of Fire and The Oncoming Storm, but the production is really fucking close to that. Because normally Will Putney's drum sounds are a little meh.
They're very compressed,
yeah.
I didn't have much of an issue on here. In fact, like, generally his compression kind of kills the low end on a lot of albums. And I think he's really good at what he does. It's just, that's like one of my main gripes. But this album has low end, and these drums have a lot of punch. And I mean, comparing it to the production work on Eyes of Fire, that was Terry Date that did that. So, I mean, that's pretty good. But yeah, the production here is solid. The guitars have so much fucking heft to them. Like, these are probably the heaviest sounding guitars I think they've ever had. Because they've generally had, like, you know, more of like a traditional, like, hardcore / thrash metal.
But with, like, a little bit of crunch on them. Yeah. And they had a little bit of fuzz on them before, I remember. But now they're just kind of, like, crystal clear and hefty.
Yeah, bottom heavy.
Yep, and the bass just has a nice kind of clean tone to it. A little bit of fuzz on the bass, but it didn't really, like, stand out a whole lot. It was just there.
Yeah, I mean, it filled out the sound.
And that's really cool for hardcore. Like, I don't like bass that's overpowering.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're doing, like, one of those, like, isolated bass lead-ins with a drum stomping, you can still hear it there. For me, one of the big things about this album is its pacing and its intensity. This album just continuously rolls over you. There's lots of great, like, thrashy gallops on here, lots of killer breakdowns, just solid grooves, and it's all energetic. In fact, I would say, like, this is the most urgent-sounding album they've put out. Like, this sounds like they have something to prove. And one of the main reasons why I think this has so much punch to it and so much drive is the drum work.
Dude, Mike Justine, of course, we all know him from the Red Chord.
Trap Them.
And Trap Them. And then he played on Eyes of Fire, and then we haven't heard from him since. And now he's back in the band, and it sounds like no time was lost. It sounds like he picked up where he fucking left off. The drum work is insane. He is punchy and syncopated and does a great mix of helping to build these songs. There's great tom work, there's blast beats, but it's just, he peppers in everything so nicely so that when the guitars build, he builds with them and just adds that additional punch to the face.
And that adds to, again, how well this is paced and how well the songs are constructed. You have great, like, sort of, like, ebbs and flows between, like, some of the heaviest moments they've ever had. Like, Dawn of the Militant might be one of the thrashiest, most aggressive songs they've ever written. But at the same time, you have Call of Existence, which is decidedly more anthemic sounding. And I love how they're able to pivot back and forth between these soaring melodies, again, with absolutely crushing guitar work. Like, you know, Buzz did a fucking killer job on here.
I have no complaints in that department.
But being able to switch gears to these bottom-heavy chugs and these hardcore breakdowns and kind of do it without losing any energy. In fact, like, the momentum on this album really doesn't take much of a break until you get to Aniara, which is just a melodic interlude. It's very pretty. It's not even a minute long, I think.
57 seconds.
Yeah. And it's just a nice little acoustic breather because you're probably exhausted from fucking pitting if you heard all these songs live. But it gets right back into it. In fact, I would say, like, there's not a lot of time spent in terms of, like, additional atmosphere. Like, maybe on Mother of Betrayal where it has, like, more of this clean intro, but it's sort of like kind of building emotion, and it's a notably more dark and just sort of foreboding song because I'm pretty sure it's about how we're fucking up the planet, which, hey, yeah, we suck.
I mean, we do.
We do.
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah.
We suck.
But it's not like a Gojira song where, you know, it's a little bit hookier. Like, this song is flat out brutal. Like, it is heavier than hell, but there's that urgency that's sort of calling out, like, sort of pleading with the audience, like, listen to us, even though we are yelling directly in your ear, and Trevor still has, you know, a fucking booming fucking growl to this day.
But he has some straight up death growls, too. In songs like Eradicator and Theaters of War, there are straight up death growls during the breakdown, and I was really surprised to hear that.
Oh, he's got some fucking solid lows. Mm-hmm. Again, alternating between the highs, lows, there's mid-range growl, some spoken word stuff. Like, there's a lot of cool dynamics, and again, like, a lot of cool dynamics done without trying to get, like, super cheesy with, like, you know, a lot of clean vocals. As far as negatives on here, I don't really have many. Honestly, this is the Unearth album I've been wanting for years. Mm-hmm. And again, that isn't like to trash all their other stuff they've done since Eyes of Fire. It's just, this has that energy that I missed. Yeah, in terms of like songwriting, I can't knock it because I think this is extraordinarily tight. The production's solid. Everything about this is really fucking good, and I will fully acknowledge that a lot of this is like a big nostalgic throwback because, I mean, I was a rabid metalcore fan for a while, and yeah, granted, there's a lot of bands I don't look back to like very fondly, but this is one I do, and they fucking nailed it. Like, this is legit one of their best fucking albums in years. Mm-hmm. I would even go as far as to say, like, this is a comeback album to a certain degree because I'm pretty sure people like those other albums too. It's just, to me, this feels like a comeback album.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and give it 4.5 stars. I fucking really enjoy this. Like, I just can't think of anything that I didn't like on here. The production's spot on. The energy is fucking dimed. Like, there is not a moment on here where it doesn't feel urgent, whether they're going for the throat with nasty breakdowns or fucking huge riffs or just soaring melodies. It maintains this level of energy that I just have not heard from this band in years. And gosh, guys, you're making me fall in love all over again. Like, seriously, these nips are hard. But anyway, this is fucking fantastic. If you're a longtime Unearth fan and you've been kind of longing for the days of, again, Through the Eyes of Fire, The Oncoming Storm, this is that again. And possibly with even more heft to it. Like, this might be even heavier than those albums. Go out, get it. It's fucking awesome.
I guess I'm going to continue to gush some more. It's also a 4.5 for me. I was a really big Unearth fan for a long time. Mostly many years ago, but like, Through the Eyes of Fire, I jammed that record nonstop. That and The Oncoming Storm, nonstop. I probably wore out both those albums and had to rebuy them again. In fact, I did. It just reminded me of that time period when I was a giant fan, and it reminded me of like why I was a fan. Like, the production on here is spot on. The musicianship is incredible. I've always thought these guys were great musicians, especially in the riff department.
Oh.
You know, I don't want to say Mike Justine didn't do a good job because he did a fucking great job, but like back in the day, metalcore drummers were a dime a dozen. It was the guitar work that got me, and these guys have always been spot on, and it's even better, I think, now. The phrasing and the way they put everything together and the dynamics of it all, it just like, they improved, I think, as songwriters, even though they were already pretty fucking top-notch to begin with. But much like you said, it seems like a comeback album because this sound of this band, they haven't sounded like this in a long time. I don't have any complaints. Like, none. Like, it it packs a fucking punch. They maul over you with fucking chairs and bats, and like the show's gonna be nuts. If these guys come anywhere near here, we're going. It was a great fucking album. Dude, the breakdowns on this record are fucking sick. Spent the time stank-faced, and I haven't had stank-face for Unearth in quite some time. And it's back, and I don't see myself stopping jamming this record. Like, I have a feeling this is going to remain in my playlist. Actually, I can't wait to hear it in your car, I'm going to be honest.
It's going to be fun.
But man, just a killer fucking job. Great job, you guys. Welcome back. In my opinion, welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome home. It feels great. I've missed you. This is the Unearth that I've loved. You guys go out and buy this, jam it. I guarantee you won't be sorry.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below, thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there, as well as our store, which we will be eventually loading up with some new merch. We have some ideas. We're still spitballing.
Yep.
But it's going to happen, and it should be pretty fucking cool. We also have a giveaway going on right now.
Yes, we do.
We are on the precipice of hitting 15,000 subscribers, which is a ridiculous number. Once again,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, it's been insane. But I got 10 CDs I want to give to one of you rabid metal fans out there. There's a good mix of weird shit in there and just absolutely brutal shit in there. And all you have to do is find the video, which should be linked down below. It's also playing automatically on our channel. Get on there, put a comment on there, and you are entered.
You want to know what's interesting? Is just popped up in my Facebook memories yesterday. 2 years ago at this time, we were hitting 3,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And now here we are, almost to the day, on the edge of 15,000. You guys, thank you.
You fucking rule.
It means the world to us. This channel has become such a big part of all of our lives. It is something, that I look forward to doing. I just can't thank you enough. It almost makes me a little emotional. I'm not going to get emotional because that's not going to happen. But
Pussy.
Shut the fuck up. But thank you nonetheless. We appreciate each and every one of you for commenting and subscribing and continuing to follow us and watch and interact and all the things you do. You could do way better, but you don't. And we appreciate that. And from the bottom of our blackened little hearts, thank you so much. And we will catch you later.